everyone. And we have with us here today Mr. Tomi Jenkins and Charlie Singleton. What's going on, fellas?
What's
What's
up, ladies?
up?
And
Good to be here.
What's happening, y'all?
What's happening? We got Atlanta, Georgia. Both of y'all. So you in Atlanta. Wait a minute, you in Atlanta, Tommy, and you in the
Yeah,
wait a minute,
we're
both of
both
y'all in
down.
Atlanta?
Yeah, we're in different parts of
Okay.
Georgia. I'm in Lawrenceville. Charlie, you're in
Okay.
I'm in Coolsville.
Coolsville. See,
No, I'm in Austell. Atlanta's a big place, the surrounding
Yeah.
areas. And
Yes.
we sort of consider everything. When people say
Atlanta,
Atlanta, they're really
right?
talking about
The
everything.
whole thing. Yeah.
But then, I sort of evolved into French horn, and that became my main instrument, even though I learned other instruments over the years
Mm-hmm.
between middle school and high school. I really learned several instruments and ultimately got a scholarship for French horn and music to go to Southern University, which is basically in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obvious, but I actually had, a few other options in terms of scholarships. And believe it or not, but don't tell anybody this, and one of them was actually science to go to LSU. And I chose to go to Southern for the music scholarship. And,
Wow.
started joining local bands and and got into the whole jazz fusion scene.
Mm-hmm.
Joined the jazz ensemble. Eventually, I was in the Southern University marching band for a few semesters. One of the semesters, I was actually by default a drum major because I was a drum major in high school, the marching band. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately started joining local bands and meeting different people, and ultimately got into jazz fusion and started meeting through the jazz instructors some really heavyweights, and that eventually started playing when I was really young. I think it was 2022, something like that, with Billy Cobham, and I was on the road with him for almost 3 years. And then from that point, when I came back, and I began to get reintroduced into the whole R&B scene. And a guy who was like my big brother at the time, his name was William Garrison. He was not only a promoter, one of the top promoters down south, but he was also, Tommy, was he managing you guys then? Or
Yeah.
was he just
WG. Yeah. I think he
Yeah.
was managing us.
Yeah, so he would always, whenever I was performing in town, because I had a local band, I don't know how he did it, but whoever he did a show with, if I was performing in town, he would convince these people some kind of way to come out to hear me perform. And one of those groups was Cameo. The guys actually came by the club when I was performing. And that's how we met for the first time.
Good.
It was interesting because after that, we kept in touch, especially with me and Anthony, and asked me if I would join the band, and I basically said no twice, and I agreed.
Doing his own thing. See, he was doing quite well down there with his own situation. See.
Uh-huh.
No, I was just stupid. Thanks for the cleanup, though.
Hey, that's what
You're
brothers do. They help each
You're
other
looking
out.
out for a brother. But no, I mean, I got an offer from quite a few people, but I was just on a different mission during that time. But ultimately, WG and I got into it because it was like, man, I'm tired of bringing people by to look at you. They're making you offers and stuff like that. You don't ever want to take it. But I agreed after I spoke with Larry and WG to do the album. That's how it started. I didn't really want to join the band, but I wanted to do the album. But ultimately, obviously, when I got up there and met the guys, and we gelled and everything and started working together, and I was like, oh man, I'm in.
It's a done deal.
And then they kicked me out. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, and it was a whole other era from that point,
Wow. Okay. Wiz, you want to chime in, or you want me to ask Tommy? Because I was
well-
going to ask Tommy the same thing too.
Well, I'm a add on to what Charlie said. Now, Charlie, I just want to know. Okay, you playing the French horn.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now
It's about to get deep now.
your jazz quartet. How was it opening up for Donny Hathaway?
Oh, wow, you heard that information. Wow.
Wow, that's the first I heard that.
See, he's a real one.
Wow.
He's a real one.
Hey man, that was and of course we didn't know him, but we had an offer. I was with the jazz ensemble. We had an offer to be the opening act for Donny Hathaway at Radio City Music Hall. I'm no, not Radio City Music Hall, but we obviously we took it. I was a huge fan, and believe it or not, when we got there, we didn't think we would ever meet the guy or whatever. But he took it upon himself to come to the dressing room, coach everybody, give it this life speech, and told them how happy he was that we were blah blah blah, keep shooting for the moon and the stars and so forth, and actually not hung around, but got there early enough to actually see us. So we were blown away. I mean, it was like surreal. But it was my first major experience, you know. And I played bass actually then in the jazz ensemble, and it was quite an experience. I'm sorry, we played Carnegie Hall. That's what we played.
Carnegie. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now you've worked with a friend of ours from the Bay Area by the name of Gino.
So Charlie, when did you get into playing the guitar? How'd that come about?
Guitar was just basically another instrument for me. I actually got a guitar like my senior year of high school. But before that, I attempted to make a few, disastrous. And the only reason why my mom bought one is because I actually cut myself pretty bad trying to make one. So she, you know, so I started playing it, but at the same time I had no guidance and I didn't know how to tune it. So I just kind of tuned it to a major chord and just be going up and down the string like that, thinking I'm doing some stuff. And it wasn't until I got to college, got with the jazz ensemble, there's a guitar player there who really sort of showed me how to retune it. But it was self-taught. But aside from guitar, before I picked up guitar, I already played 10 instruments. But they were, you know, just brass and woodwinds. But in college, I started playing guitar, and then I went to violin, and I started playing piano and different things like that. And then I really wanted to, my dream was to sort of ultimately be a French hornist in the New Orleans Symphony. But the older I got, I realized the reality set in. It's like, okay, what are the odds of a black man having a seat in a New Orleans Symphony? And not to mention that those seats, musicians usually hold for a lifetime. You know, they pay well, you know, they're well-established musicians and so forth. So I would have had to wait until somebody died and then get in line.
Yeah.
So guitar was, and then get in line. So guitar was always just for fun. And I started doing that locally and so forth. Then I started playing bass, and ultimately I started playing bass with the jazz ensemble, and all of that led me back into, you know, different. The guitar, I'm not going to say it was my main instrument. It was just an instrument. It's interesting because that's how it started. Now it's a little bit different today, but that's how it started. It was just another instrument that I played.
Speaking of making guitars,
Speaking,
you know, he builds his guitars, right? You know, he's got like 4 or 5 guitars he's built from scratch and got different names. 7? Oh, excuse me.
No, that's always been a passion of mine because I used to endorse guitars, you know, when you know, back in the 70s and so forth. And I would always get the guitars they give to me free and rip them apart and put all my own parts in it. And ultimately, I just started making my own. So the guitars that I play on stage are only the guitars that I make. And they're usually not necessarily for sale because it takes me a long time to make them. And but at least I don't cut myself anymore. Yeah, trying to make them.
Wiz, I know you anxious to jump in. I know he anxious to jump in. He about
Here it comes. He's coming up to bat.
Here it comes.
That's
coming to bat.
That's amazing. The part about that is I also made guitars.
Oh, really?
In wood shop at school.
Okay.
My junior year and my senior year. And my senior year, what I made a duplicated Boosie Star bass.
Wow.
Rhinestones and all, you know, and it wasn't playable.
No,
but it looked like his.
Wow.
And I got an A, you know, but that's what got me into construction, you know, wood shop. You know, so
now,
when you said that, it's
we
like,
should be interviewing you.
Nah.
That's the story.
Nah.
He built Bootsy's base, and that's how he got into construction. I mean,
you know what? When I edit this interview, I'm gonna take a picture that I got, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can see it.
Okay.
It's dope.
Wow, man.
All right. Oh, that's I'm looking forward to that.
But I was a clone of Dr. Funkenstein. And bringing that up, your first tour was with George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
That's right.
You toured with the mothership.
That's right. 76, 77. It was the very first tour. And excuse me, what an experience.
I'm sure.
What an experience. Certain things shall remain nameless, but I tell you, it was quite a ride. 1 full year we were out there, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. No, can you imagine? You know, you're in your 20s and you're on this massive tour with sold out stadiums and arenas everywhere, and you see this rocket going across on the top of the arena, and then this mothership comes down. I mean, total theatrics. And that's pretty much, when you grow up, excuse me, in a business like that, and you grow up on tour, and you're seeing this type of theatrical stuff going on, you can't help but really say, you know what, we can't be just like the normal kind of thing. You got to come with it. You really got to come totally crazy. And especially back then in that era of funk, everybody was doing, like you say, Bootsy, George, everybody was had their own thing, but it was magical, to see that kind of thing. You don't want to go to a concert and just see somebody up there looking like you with jeans on. You know what I mean?
When I got with Cameo, that was a new thing for me because I had never done anything like that before. Not that I've never done commercial music. They almost killed me, man. They were doing that stuff every single day, doing the sound check. They were doing the sound check the way they would do the gig. I was not prepared for that. And I was young and in shape. And every night I'm like completely messed up. Ribs all hurting, and legs all cramping. And they were doing that stuff every single night.
You can't jump on stage and expect the crowd to just love you. You got to really bring it and make sure that those are the people who you're there to please.
Tomi, we're gonna jump up into your solo project. Let's talk about this album.
Oh.
Tell it like it is.
Who is that guy?
Who is that guy?
That was a bad album.
Man, Charlie, you know it. Charlie contributed quite greatly to that record right there. He did some very, very fine work on that album.
I see your name in fine print on her too, Charlie.
Nah, that
down on that one.
That album needs to be re-released.
It's so funny that you said that. I was just talking to Nathan about that the other day. About how people are now, like I was just reading that Ashanti is getting her rights back to her original record to re-record. And everybody knows the story about Taylor Swift did the same thing. So I was exploring that idea because that album really didn't get its due. So I was seeing, then, that's just something in the back of my head I'm rumbling around with, trying to see whether or not I can, if that's possible, because it's funny you said that, Singleton, because I'm thinking about that. But yeah, that's my very first solo album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good memories too. A lot of good memories.
Definitely. Down in Florida, in Miami, right? In Miami.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to ask Tomi this off the wall, off the subject question, I should say. So, you still writing books?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just finished my latest one, called Finding Carrie. I just finished that. I just got it edited professionally, and I'm going to put it out the first of the year and have it published the first of the year. I published my last two I self-published. Well, no, my first one I published through a company, book publisher, the first one. And this the second one, Hope Park, I self-published, and this one I'm definitely going to self-publish too. And I'm working on another one now as we speak. So I'm just a writing fool. Yeah, but I enjoy writing. And if I sold one book, it would be great. Because I know how hard it is to, sell books and even try to make money selling books. So that's not really my goal. If it happens, that's great. But my real goal is to just finish. And when I finished it and finally, put the last word on the page, that's an accomplishment.
What do you think about rap music, particularly from what you just said, artists like Public Enemy, Arrested Development, Poor Righteous Teachers?
It's interesting how the evolution of rap has changed not only the culture, but the industry. Nobody really saw that coming. When we were younger, I mean, we were listening to rap and didn't know it was rap from people like Rudy Ray Moore, Blowfly, like that. It was a different kind of thing. Yeah. It was different versions of it, but it started becoming mainstream basically when Sugar Hill Gang came on the scene. That's when it became the forefront of commercial music, because they came up with something that basically everybody can do. And that's one of the things that made it popular. But it has evolved such in a way that it went through this transition where it was sort of like started out as something lighthearted when you start talking about the Sugar Hill Gang. But when you fast forward to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, right? When you start getting into that, then the whole message starts to change. Then it's no longer that lighthearted thing. It turned into personal experiences in terms of how guys grew up and so forth. And it was basically rejected for a long time in the industry. And I know from firsthand, Ed Eckstein, who's my buddy, he said he would never sign a rap act, or he didn't allow us at that time to put any version of rap on our records. That's how it started. And that was the thing, because even if we're the artist, it's like, nah, man, I'm gonna put like 4 bars of this. I'm gonna probably say, no, we're not gonna do that. And he fought against that. And the weird thing is that his success was based on the fact that he didn't really do that. He was one of those holdouts. But he went through the industry and went up in the chain and eventually became president of Polygram Records, Polygram. And he still held to that same belief, because he thought the message itself was dangerous. And he thought the whole process of sampling and stealing music and all of this other stuff was basically demeaning and was really taken away from the music. So he was right in one sense, but he also had no idea, how popular it was actually going to become. And we've seen it evolve from the styles that we talk of I just spoke of into what it is now. So it sort of reached this plateau, when it got really, when you start talking about Public Enemy, you're talking about a whole different level of raps. And you can't compare that to a Sugar Hill Gang. You can't compare that to, it was just a whole different message, whole different level of how they delivered, whole different visual aspect that came with it. And it's still evolving. But what's interesting, I feel, is that we've reached that peak. And when you start listening to what's out there now, that's been a slow decline as to what we have today. So when you start, even when they went through the mumble rap phase, right? And then they went through all this other stuff where they're doing this right now, it's hard for me to really consider the commercial aspect of it. It's hard for me to really consider that rap. Now, there's still some hardcore guys on the scene, but they're not mainstream anymore. The same way there are really some really diehard, hardcore R&B musicians on the scene, but they're not mainstream anymore. That's where music has taken us. So rap sort of became a part of that, and it became like an intricate part of hip hop, and it became like just a part of the whole musical evolution process. And it's now basically suffering from the same thing that R&B music is suffering from. But now you've got the guys, and I don't want to talk about whether someone's less talented or more talented, but in terms of their style and what they bring now that they consider something deep and whatever, does not even compare to the stuff that's already been out there that's going to be around forever. That's it for me.
I just wish there was more groups like Public Enemy and conscious brothers and sisters who would, because there's so much going on in the world right now, and especially in this country. I really wish that there would be more of that there's more of that going on instead of just the stuff that seems to be popular. It's almost like record labels have always had a hand in squashing stuff that they didn't want to put out. I was just watching Barry Gordy go win the thing last night, and he didn't even want Marvin Gaye to put out What's Going On.
Nope.
He didn't want, he said, no, that's going to ruin your career, man. And Marvin said, no, I got to do it. So it's not a new thing, it's always a suit that's going to tell you that don't do that, because that's not good for the dollars. You know what I mean? You're going to lose money or whatever, because that's always the bottom line. But I really wish that there were more mainstream artists, like we were talking about rap, rap or hip hop, in specifically, that did that go is, if you're already successful, switch it up a little bit. We don't want to hear about lean. We don't want to hear about the hoes, or excuse my language, or the this, the that. We don't want to hear about that. That's passe. Let's talk about something that's real. Let's talk about something that's going on. You can do that too. There's nothing wrong with doing that too. But I just wish that, since it has such a large platform now, that's all it is. Hip hop music is the music of today, pretty much. It's not punk, it's not funk, it's not I mean, in a way it is, because they're using the bed and the basis of music is always going to be that, as far as hip hop is concerned. But use your platform to go out. I know I'm missing some artists that may be doing that, but I'm just saying, on the whole, I try to, especially when I'm doing a new record, I try to listen to what's going on, just to see where I am, as far as, I don't cater or tailor my music to what's going on, because, I'm a funk R&B artist. It's what I do, So this is what I do, and I don't try to make current things. I just do what I do. That's why I wish that I just wish that as far as hip hop is concerned, that we'd have some of these artists that that would just take more of a stand. And I'm sure they're out there. So I don't want to say that they're not doing it or there's no one out there that's doing that. But I agree. Public Enemy, Conscious Daughters, I think was one. I'm thinking there was a lot of groups back then that were doing it. It just kind of fell off.
Yeah, I got to listen to that Arrested Development album then.
Arrested Development,
man. That
they
new
album.
I heard.
Oh my gosh.
I heard.
Oh my gosh.
Speech. Man, I did a Speech. Did a little thing. One of course, y'all know. He did a record from the the group.
Yeah.
He did. He did.
I'm talking about
solo projects. A couple of solo projects, but that new album they got for the FKN Love.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Check that out.
And what you just talked about, I'm sorry, T.
It's all in, yeah.
Yeah, what you were just talking about, he has songs talking about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is so, and the good thing I love about the album, it's no cursing.
None.
Don't have to.
Exactly. None. And it's like, and I understood sometimes, people like Common or whoever, PE, it would be a curse word here and there, but they use curse words for emphasis.
Yeah.
Not because they couldn't find another word, and that's what they started doing. It's like, how can you have 35 curse words in the 3.5 minute song? That's some Dolomite stuff.
You can't play it.
Exactly. Can you imagine when there was 13, 14 members of the group called Cameo that got into a beef and they had to fight Parliament Funkadelic? Can you imagine that?
Dang, who will win?
Man, you just
the horns against the horns, the bass player against the bass player, the drummer against the drummer.
Yeah.
There was one incident though. There was one incident. Somebody was like, "Who's fighting? It's the band." There was one incident back in the day. I can't recall who or what, but yeah, it did happen once. But yeah,
that was I guess that would be considered the battle of the bands.
That was a battle. Yeah.
That's where it
ding,
came
ding,
from.
ding, ding, ding.
There you go.
Now, did y'all have? I know there was upstaging on purpose. That just comes with the territory. A stage is like a basketball court or a baseball field. When you go out there, you're trying to outdo the other bands on the marquee.
Absolutely.
So how was that? How was that going up against some of the, you just witnessed something and it's like, okay, yeah, we got to go out there. We got to kill it,
But it was all in love and healthy competition. It wasn't anything vicious. It was that, and like I said, you remember, look, if you've got a bunch of bands and everybody's got hits, right? Then you need to try and come up with something that's going to set you apart from just another band on stage. So when people walk away, because all the music is good.
Yeah.
Every band's coming up banging.
That's right.
What you going to do when it's your time to walk away? Because at the end of the day, you want people to walk away and say that you were the best band up there. So it was a healthy competition.
That's when shows was over with at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When you had like five big bands on a ticket like that. That's we know.
5 big bands.
It's
5, 10.
Yeah.
10. That's when we fell asleep. So it was
the best
you
part.
Want to be the last one.
But the best part was it was like a $6.50 ticket.
How about that?
That was the best thing about it. It's like you get to see 5 or 6 of your favorite bands for less than $10. Man,
yeah, you can imagine how that translated into 13 people on stage and and 10 bands on a show. So you may have paid $650 for that ticket, but the band may have split $650.
Oh, okay.
See,
And that would be a year I would not want to be a stage manager for that amount of
but I gotta say this. It was a different era.
Yeah.
Guys wanted to be successful, but we didn't really think about, put it this way, it was an era where we got into music for the love of music. We wanted to be a part of something, because when you start thinking about your participation in a band that's 13 members, you already know it ain't about you.
Right.
None of it is about you. None of it's personal. It's like you're a part of a unit and you're willing to make sacrifices as that unit. So, I mean, you look, guys wanted to make some money, but it wasn't all about that. It's about being together, making a living at your craft. And a lot of times there were a lot of tours, man, basically, where you kind of come home broke. When I say broke, meaning that you don't come home with the money justifiable to the time that you actually spent when you were gone and the money that you may have spent while you were out there. And you come back, but at the same time, you're in the business. You're making a name for yourself. People know who you are. That is priceless. And then you try and figure out some way to make money on top of that. You figure if you can hang around long enough. But that was the era of big bands. And if you're talking about bringing 9 or 10 bands, anywhere between 13, 14, 15 members back to back, look, and it's $650 a ticket, somebody's taking a hit.
Well, some of the best shows were the Cool Jazz Fest and the Budweiser Fest, back then. Those are magnificent, well run, efficiently. Whoever, the production was first rate. They had the carts ready. They had the backstage thing was going. They would boom, 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 boom. You next. No, if you play overtime, we're cutting your power. Okay.
They cut your power. You be right in the middle of a song.
Right.
They cut you off, man. Lights, everything. Dark, no power.
Well, that's happening today now. They don't cut the power, but you get warned.
Well, you get warned?
Big time. Well, today
I don't know what it's like being on stage or being at a concert. I do not. After all of this nonsense that's been going on out here.
Yeah. It's been a minute. I mean, it's interesting because when COVID hit, 2020 was a wash, and we spent 2020 preparing for 2021.
Now.
And then all of a sudden, that went by so fast with all the other stuff it was like, okay, now you find yourself preparing for 2022, hoping that things would be different. So for a lot of us, it has been huge.
Yeah.
And it has forced us basically to revamp and rethink, because to be honest, not to sound so pessimistic, things will never be the same.
Nope.
We'll work again or whatever, but those days, those things that we're talking about right now, they're gone.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're not going to work again. That doesn't mean we're not going to be able to make a living.
Right.
But a lot of promoters are now, even the shows that they're trying to book, or using, even though, they're booking shows and some bands are out there working, they're basically using this whole thing with COVID, whatever, as an excuse not to pay you.
Right.
And really lowball you. And a lot of musicians who haven't worked in a while, they're just taking it because they're trying to keep the group together or trying to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
So that era that we're talking about, right? That's why what you guys are doing right now is so important, because that was a golden era.
Yes,
and we're just a different place, right? That doesn't mean that there's people aren't out, making a living and maybe some good decent music here and there, whatever. But the era that we're talking about, that we came up in and that we're a part of, that's gone.
I read a story recently about Every Breath You Take, Puffy's version.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Never
The
seen
missing
yeah,
you.
yeah. And he
Never
didn't
heard that.
tell, he didn't go to Sting or nothing about that. All of a sudden, because Andy Summers, the guitar player who was you don't know the song until you hear that first beginning. He's the guy that's playing it. He didn't get a dime from that. Sting had to go and get and finally just say, hey, you got to pay me. So he got 100%, since he's a writer, he got 100% of the royalty. But Andy Summers, who had their most recognizable guitar part in the beginning, didn't get nothing.
Didn't get a dime.
Wow.
That's crazy to me.
That it's crazy and it's unfair.
It's crazy.
I think he should have gave him something.
I've been there.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just doing the right thing, you know.
Because it's funny y'all mentioned
I can relate to Andy Summers.
It's funny because when Biggie died, it was some show that was on and they sung, Puffy, Faith, and the choir. They had to bring Sting on as well. Right. I remember that. I don't know what show that was, but I'm like,
yeah,
bring Sting on.
Yeah,
let's do the right thing, man.
Right.
Let's do the right thing.
Wow.
Yeah, because a lot of people think this culture, this era actually thought that Puffy wrote that song.
Yeah.
They weren't familiar with the original version, none whatsoever. They'd never heard it before. So they actually thought that, Puff was this genius who came up with this classic. They believed that. So it was good that they did that and brought Sting out. And they were like, well, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Right. Why did Puff got all the people he can pick? Why did he
who is this guy?
So
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Philly. I gotta give it up. I'm sorry. Yeah. Motown had its thing, but Philly, the orchestrations were just ridiculous.
I'm gonna have to agree. Gotta agree.
Look at that. We got 2 Phillies. Okay. So let me ask you this one, since we in that arena. What you know about the Dantes?
Who? The Dantes?
The Dantes.
Ooh. Nah, you got to school me on that one.
Man,
the Dantes.
Like pulled up some stuff I had never heard of. So what?
Should I get out my phone and
3 girls, 3 background singers, sung in over 10,000 songs for Motown.
Wow.
What?
The background singing that you hear in almost all of Motown songs from the 60s to the early 70s was the Dantes, these three women. Do you know the song The Temptations Is Growing?
Yes.
Okay. Next time you listen to that song.
Like a snowball.
Yes.
Down the side.
There's a part in it, in the background, and it's this real high-pitched voice. Sound like an angel. That's the Dantes. The Temptations went to Berry Gordy. Now remember, this is when you had to sound like your records when you performing. They went to Berry Gordy and told them they love the Dantes like sisters, this, that, but we cannot let them sing on any more of our songs because we cannot duplicate their sound. They sound like angels. All the Marvin Gaye hits, heard it Grapevine, and all Marvin. What's going on? That's the Dantes singing background. The Supremes #1 hit, Love Child. There's a part in there, another real high-pitched voice that come out of, it's just, it's the Dantes. Because when they recorded that with Diana and the Supremes, they did it And then later that night, the Dantes was called in to redo the background. All the 4 top songs, Bernadette, all of that, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, that's still Dantes singing in the background. Jackie Wilson, Your Love Is Lifting Me Higher, that's the Dantes. Because they used to moonlight going from Chicago, Detroit to Chicago in the middle of the night to do sessions to make more money or make some money, because Barry was paying them, what was it? $6 and some a session.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they were moonlight.
Wow.
Them 3 girls, the Dantes.
I kind of hear them now on one of Marvin's songs. It's almost like a transition from that song, and I hear like a real high voices at the top, and before it goes into "Hey baby,
what's happening?"
Right.
What's happening, brother?
What's happening, brother?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. That's them.
And it's like they're holding that note.
Yeah, they hold.
Right.
They sound like angels.
Right.
They have angelic voices. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, them girls.
Isn't that something?
Them
Man,
girls.
you're coming up with the knowledge, brother. Because I swear I didn't know anything. That's great. That's good knowledge to know. For real.
Yeah, we appreciate this. Thank you, Tomi, for setting this up.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you guys for
Thank
allowing
you,
me
Charlie.
to. Thank you for allowing me to chime in.
To be first. Yep.
See,
see, before this, he felt like Charlie Brown. He thought we were gonna snatch the ball from him when he was gonna get a rock for Halloween. Man. Nope.
That's true. I used to be first or something for the first time.
He don't know how to act now.
I don't know how to act, man. I'm gonna tell my kids, Daddy was first tonight.
They're gonna be like, "No, you weren't, Daddy. No, you weren't.
No, you weren't. You ain't never first."
Yeah.
I would love to see me perform right now.
I would.
Yeah.
I would love to see me perform somewhere.
Well, hopefully 2022 will bring will bring some changes, and it started to get there. We was so close. Almost there,
Wear your mask. Wear your
mask.
Wear your mask.
If you ain't,
that's right. That's right.
If nothing else, put a mask on.
Wear your mask. Wear your mask. I mean, you're not going to get everybody to vaccinate. That's
right.
That's one thing. You're not going to do that, and certain people just ain't going to do it. That's the bottom line.
Right.
But at least those not going to do it. And I know people who don't, and but they are very conscientious in terms of when they go out and what they do. They're always wearing masks. They're always doing the right thing. So if you're not going to do, not going to take the vaccine, I ain't got a problem with it. Okay, what you coughing? You all right?
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I started coughing. It's like, what the? Did I catch something? Did y'all just give me something?
Oh man. Oh dang. Now I got to erase the whole tape. He got evidence.
We were just talking about they put it in the food, they put it in the water, and all of a sudden
they put it in the video.
They put it in the video. Yeah, all up in the microphone.
Oh
my God.
Man, I haven't coughed in 2 weeks.
Do that.
TomiJenkinsMusic.com. Go to TomiJenkinsMusic.com. You'll get there's an excerpt of my book on there. There's some new music, getting ready, just some clips of some new couple of songs, about 4 songs. Also, I'm promoting actually I'm involved in a music producer on this movie called Osmosis that me and my partner Nate Williams have been working on for years, trying to get it made. Looks like we may be trying to get it made in 2022. But it's a story of a 70s funk band. It's a fictional stories of a 70s funk band. There's a song on there, I suppose, I did all the music on it, and we're trying to finish up the soundtrack now. Hopefully, you know how these things are, man, trying to make a movie and trying to get financing for it. So we're pretty close. Looks like 2022 first quarter, we may be blessed to be able to have the money to put this thing into production. We've been working on it for several years, man. But everyone who hears it or hears of it or reads about it, we did some videos on YouTube, some old videos that we did years ago with the actors and the musicians, the afros and the 70s gear and all that. So it's quite a project, man. Everybody's excited about it once it gets, because, you know, that's the one story that hasn't been told yet in that fictional form. You know, you had 5 Heartbeats, you know, you got the R&B story, but you just don't have the funk story. And I think everybody, all of our peers who came up with us through the game will recognize that this is something that I recognize, you know, fictional. So it's a great story. Guys grew up in Chicago, they're as friends, and they just started playing together, and one thing led to another, and that's how they got a recording contract, and the manager got them a deal. And this was actually before, you know, this is before the Ohio Players were kind of like the only group that was big back then. You know, this is before all of, you know, everybody else. So it's really it's a good story. But anyway, go to TomiJenkinsMusic.com and you'll see, just poke around, join the mailing list, and there's some surprises that'll come that I'll be able to come. You can get a book, you know, you can order one of my earlier books from there on Amazon. And so just check it out.
Check it out. Charlie, you got a website or anything that can find you on
Yeah.
social media?
Well, yeah, but yeah, I'm working on new videos and stuff. So right now, anywhere on YouTube under my name.
Charlie got a dope video out right now. You need to check it out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we
Well,
got
yeah,
it, man.
All right. So yeah, I just try to use this year and last year to just release new music and do some different things. And hopefully next year I can get out and start promoting a lot of this stuff. I really appreciate you guys, though.
Yeah.
Man, thank you.
Thank you.